All right, y'all, we back with another video. So Sukuna dropped today, and of course, as usual, when a new character comes, we usually do showcases on the channel. So we're gonna do the same standard formula that we normally do, where we have one regular team and then one nuke team. All right, so here we are on Sukuna. So we're gonna, of course, do the same standard that we do with all the other character showcases. We'll talk about all of the skills and what he does, in my opinion, on him, especially considering he's blue, which I've been needing and wanting a blue DPS character in the game for a long time. So as you can see, he is max dupe, max grade level, max level, phantom sealed, everything. This is literally the pinnacle of DPS that you can get on a Sukuna. So let's just go and talk over his skills and, you know, kind of get like the basis of what he does. So skill 3 is definitely going to be playing a part in his kit when you're trying to deal damage aside from his ult. The main goal that you're aiming for is, of course, when he has 90 cursed energy. So if your own cursed energy is 90 or more, you change the skill effect to, of course, the cost of the skill is now going to be 90. It's going to deal 1,203% range curse damage to the selected enemy, so it's single target, and then inflicts 3 stacks of continuous damage laceration equal to 50% Jiu-Jitsu for 3 turns. And then, of course, if you're skill restricted, you cannot use this skill. So he's going to be dealing a lot of damage, not even only from his ult, but from his skill 3 as well. I really like how they put it. So let's talk about the ult, because I really feel like to kind of understand the entire kit, you want to understand what the ult is doing itself. So we have the ult here, which is going to be domain expansion malevolent shrine. This is going to expand his domain for 1 turn. We don't really care about the domain actually being up, but what it applies after being used. He's going to grant himself the shirt hit effect, so he will be guaranteed to hit somebody, hit him no matter what. He's going to be dealing 1,684% range curse damage to all enemies, 8 hits, so it is a multi-hit. It's going to inflict 4 stacks of continuous damage of laceration equal to 50% curse damage, 4 turns. And then on top of that, he's going to activate the skill restriction status for 2 times. Now keep in mind, this says 2 times, so what this means is all you have to really do is just use your skill 2 and you're good, right? Because it's going to count the turn that he did use his ult 2, so he's essentially only going to be skill restricted 1 time, but it's fine because you probably should still be using his skill 2 twice, just because it increases your crit hit rate and your crit hit damage, and of course it's stackable. Anyways, let's move on to what else it says. It says cannot charge your ultimate skill gauge for 3 turns. That's fine. Trust me, after you use your ultimate skill gauge in those 3 turns, you're not gonna need to be able to use your ultimate anyways. On top of that, it's gonna increase the maximum amount of cursed energy by 100 for 6 turns. So now he's gonna have roughly like 200 something ish cursed energy, and then he's going to recover his own cursed energy by 200. So he should be essentially at max cursed energy. And what this means is, when you go into your skill 2 and you start using it, and you're obviously going to be skill restricted, so you're going to get that secondary enhancement effect of the skill 2. You're going to do even more damage if you have high curse energy, which you will, because you're going to be fully recovered, and this costs 0, so it's going to do a lot of damage. Then after you're done using it 2 times, right, like let's say you use it the 2nd time, so you could just get the crit rate and the crit hit damage from its first effect, and then obviously you have the you know, the damage received on the target. Then you go into your skill 3, because now your skill 3 is going to cost you 90, because you're gonna have 90, right? You're gonna have like 200. You're gonna be dealing 1,203 damage with all the modifiers that you just gained from your skill 2 while inflicting laceration to the enemy. So yeah, he's gonna deal a lot of damage. Essentially, his skill 3 is like another ult, right? And it's ease of access, considering his ult enables it very easily. So that's what I'm talking about. This character is definitely going to be the best DPS in the game by far. Just being able to deal damage on multiple sources, not only being relied on his ult, which many DPS characters rely purely on their ult. This is just the beginning, bro. Let's get to the icing on the cake, bro, because it's crazy that they even have this as extra parts that are, you know, even after seeing how much damage he deals, it's crazy that they even added these as passive skills to this insane character. Let's go with the first one, right? So this is the one that's kind of pretty crazy to me. Like, he's always healing himself, so he's just not dying. That gives him survivability as a DPS character, which is very good to play in like hard content like tower, for example. So I really like that. It's just crazy to me that he just self heals, like, and it's infinite, right? Like it just depends on how much damage you take, and you know, the amount of attacks that you also receive. Now let's talk about the next skill, next passive, because this one's kind of crazy too. So this is King of Curses, and bro, this is just insane. So at the start of battle, he gives himself poison, darkness, soul, stun, confusion, and immunity to death effects. All of those straight immunity to himself. It's like, what? He's basically immune to everything. On top of that, he grants himself a 30% flame resistance. I literally can't. Like, what is that, bro? That is insanity to me. That's not even all of it. So the next part is, when the crit is performed, you will increase your own damage dealt by 30% for 2 turns, and then you'll recover own cursed energy by 20. But not only that, if he receives anything, like any damage that's at least 3,000 HP of his life gone, right? 50% chance of increasing his own physical damage and curse damage by 20% for 2 turns. Like, he just gets hit and he just increases his fucking, like, his damage, like, and then on top of that, he'll just heal it, and then on top of that, he's just gonna do a ton of damage, and then on top of that, you're gonna get damage over time, and then on top of that, it's like he's buffing himself massively, and then on top of that, he essentially has a skill 3, which is like another, oh, it's just like crazy to me. But yeah, based off of everything I've seen and me playing with him already, he definitely is by far the best DPS in the entire game. He's not heavily reliant on just only his ult. He has other sources of damage, which already puts him above a lot of other characters, because even after you use your ult, you're going to be doing good damage with your skill 3, and then by the time you get to your ult again, you've already used your skill 3 a few times, which has a high modifier. So it's like you're going to be getting into your ult, boom, you're going to do it again, and you're going to do even more damage, and then you have the bleeds start to add up, bro. Like, once you start using your ult, and then you use your skill 2s, and then you go into your skill 3s, and you start stacking up those lacerations, bro, they start doing a lot of damage. So anyways, now that we're done talking about Sukuna, because it's already been quite some time, let's actually go into the showcase. All right, so we're here on turn 5. This is where we're going to ult him with, of course, domain expansion Gojo. And then, of course, Inumaki is going to be using skill 3. And then we're going to use, you know, of course, Sukuna's ult. Now, here, like I mentioned before, we're not going to be using the memory, just because if I use the memory, I think we'll do too much damage alongside domain Gojo. Oh, and then I probably wouldn't be able to get to his skill 2. I mean, excuse me, his skill 3. And I want to get to his skill 3 so that way I can showcase that damage rather than his ult, because in the nuke, we're going to be, of course, showcasing his ult damage. So we're not going to use non-standard. Okay, so he survived. Luckily, last time I wasn't as fortunate because he absolutely shredded him. It was like very difficult to get what I wanted to do. Hopefully we don't kill him either before we get to turn 8 roughly. We'll see, because Sukuna does a lot of damage. 1 million on just like normal attacks. Then you also have the laceration also going off. It's like, yeah. Skill 3 again, and then Sukuna skill 2. But honestly, I think he's probably going to die here, because now we're going to have that Yaga buff. And we're going to have, of course, all these skills going off from the other characters, and then we're going to have more debuffs. I honestly think the boss is pretty much dead here. I wouldn't even be able to get to his skill 3. Like, literally, I wouldn't be able to get to his skill 3 because the bro does that much damage. Like, you need to factor in that he's doing damage from, like, his skill 2, pretty good damage, right? He's doing a lot of damage from his skill 3, of course, because his skill 3 has high modifier, almost as high as his ult. And then, obviously, he's doing damage from his ult, and then he's got the dots. the damage over time is doing a lot of damage too. It's like, bro, this guy has so many sources of damage. It's like, it's so difficult for me to actually showcase the character without killing the boss ahead of time. Like, I swear, bro. Honestly, I don't even think I'm gonna skill 2, although I can skill 2. He's literally gonna die this turn. He's literally going to die this turn. I wanted to, of course, the next turn use skill 3 after I've already had like the 2 stacks of the buffs from skill 2. But I don't think that's going to be possible with the amount of damage I'm doing. So I'm just going to go straight into skill 3. It's going to be a little bit scuffed by, of course, limiting the amount of damage that I can do. By, of course, you know, dropping 1 Yaga buff that I'm not going to be able to get. And, of course, 1 extra buff that I could have got from skill 2. But, I mean, it's fine. He's still going to do a lot of damage regardless. So let's just go with the skill 3 instead of skill 2. But in this case, in scenario, if the boss had more HP, I'd go another skill 2 one more time. And then the next turn, skill 3. And I would have the full setup with all the buffs and everything active with debuffs, etc. And I would be able to do the maximum amount of damage with skill 3. But let's see what he can do with, like, 75% of the buffs active at least. Yeah, he definitely would have died on skill 2. Yeah, I mean, it's like I literally couldn't even like stack up completely. So yeah, I did miss out on some damage there, but like I still did a lot of damage regardless overall, just from using skills normally, not even just from his ult. So yeah, Sukuna, that's him in a normal team. As you can see, he just does so much damage that, of course, in this scenario, when I was trying to maximize damage, it was a lot difficult to showcase it. But if you're trying to beat something, oh, trust me, he's going to be able to beat it, especially if you have Domain Gojo. But yeah, anyways, let's move on to the next character showcase. All right, so we're going to be trying to achieve the most damage possible with the character. The one thing I do worry about this team is the boss not being able to survive the absolute onslaught of the character that is Sukuna. But we'll see when we get to it. So let's get right into it and hope everything turns out for the best. I'm just hoping he just doesn't kill the enemies too fast, just because this is a max dupe Sukuna that we're talking about. Let's get right into it. So this is going to have a little bit of, you know, little plays in between to actually get all the buffs that we need and want at the specific moment. I've done this team a few times, but it is quite, you know, very tight. It's very tight. You gotta kind of have to have everything at the right moment when you need it and want it. So bear with me. You're probably gonna like question me on some things, but trust me, they have to be done to get what we're trying to do. So we're gonna be using the memory and then of course skill 2 on Gojo. Megumi using skill 3 immediately. Then Inumaki is gonna be using skill 1 and Sukuna skill 1. So I'm not going to really comment too much on anything before turn 7. Turn 7 is when we're actually going to start doing some different plays and all that. So I'm just going to kind of like be silent for the remainder until we hit turn 7. Alright, so here we're going to probably do a little bit of damage with Sukuna's skill 3 since we did manage to stack his skill 2 a couple times. Honestly, I'm kind of worried that he's going to do too much damage and then we're not going to be able to get to the ult to showcase it. We'll see. So turn 5, we're going to be doing pretty much the same stuff, you know. Nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. So we're just going to drain 90 of our cursed energy here. Okay, it wasn't too bad. We didn't really have a lot of buffs or debuffs going on the enemy anyways. Alright, so turn 6. We're going to be using the memory and then Gojo skill 2. Whatever skill we can use on Megami for the time being. Inumaki's going to use skill 1 and so is Sukuna. This is going to taunt so that way he targets Gojo. Now Gojo's going to use his skill 2. Domain Megami is going to use the memory alongside his skill 1. Because obviously the memory lasts for 6 turns or whatever. So it's very powerful. So we're just going to use skill 1 here. Inumaki skill 1 and then Sukuna skill 2 with the memory. So turn 8, we're going to use Gojo skill 2 again. Megami skill 1. And then Inumaki skill 2 and Sukuna skill 2, I guess, right? Bro is always healing. It's crazy how much this Sukuna heals, bro. Anyways, we're on turn 9. We need to make sure that we use Gojo's ult here just because he's going to leave in a turn. So we just want his ult to be off at least. Then we're going to use Megami's ult alongside it. And then we're going to be using Inumaki's skill 3 with Sukuna's skill 2. Because now we're going to probably try to stack a little bit. Alright, so Gojo's going to use his skill 1, Megami's going to use his skill 1, Inumaki's going to use his skill 3, and then Sukuna's going to use his skill 2. My biggest concern here is once I'm done with the skill 2s, I'm not entirely sure if I want to continue to use his skill 3. Continue to use his skill 2 or use his skill 3. The problem is if I use his skill 3, I have a feeling that he's probably going to kill the boss before I can actually ult. So we might just skill 2. Because as you can see, the boss is essentially almost dead, right? So we don't want to take any risks. Literally, we don't want to take any risks. So we're gonna buff. We're gonna Megami skill 1 again. We're gonna Inumaki skill 3. Now this is what I was saying. I would love to use skill 3 here, right? But I believe with the buffs from like literally the debuffs from all my characters that I'm pretty sure he's going to kill with skill 3. He's literally going to kill his boss. So we're just going to use skill 2 and show off his ultimate damage. I would love to use his skill 3 and see how much damage he would do there, but I guarantee you he's going to kill this fucking boss and I wouldn't be able to show off his ult. So we're just going to skill 2 here. Yeah, you see 1 million on his skill 2. I swear, if I used his skill 3, it was going to do 3 times, 4 times as much damage. He was going to kill this boss. He was literally going to kill this boss. I'm glad I didn't even take that chance. Anyways, we're going to use the memory and then Momo's skill 2. We're going to use Megami with the memory, his skill 1, of course, and then Inumaki special with the memory, with, of course, the pride, with Sukuna's ult. So let's see how much damage a 5 dupe Sukuna can output with this team setup. I'll just kind of look over his buffs real quick so you can kind of see everything he has active currently before he ults. Keep in mind he's going to get more buffs too this turn. That's literally going to happen from, you know, Momo. And then obviously the boss has like a ton of debuffs, right? So definitely gonna do a lot of damage. Overall, in perspective, we should have a 100% damage increase from Gojo. We should have a 300% damage increase from Megami at least, right? 75% plus the 40% Jujutsu damage increase from Inumaki. Then we should have 120% damage increase from Momo herself. I think it's 120%, right? It might be a little bit more, right? Actually, it's 120%. And then we're going to have curse damage increase from the pride stacks. And then obviously we're going to have 40% curse damage increase from the two nice job memories. And then we're going to get 15% curse damage increase from the Momo memory. So we're going to have a lot of damage increases here going off. And yeah, let's see how much damage this Sukuna is going to output. All right, let's see how much damage Inumaki does. Okay, Inumaki, 5.3. Boss is broken now. Let's see what Sukuna can do. Brother, there was just so many millions in there, I have no clue. But since Inumaki did 5.3, we'll deduct it from what we get here. 28 mil, right? So essentially, I did 23 mil, roughly, with Sukuna. Keep in mind, I've said this before, but keep in mind, this character not only does damage from their ult, they do damage from their skill 3 as well. Like, and the laceration or laceration, whatever, however you pronounce it. It's just like this character does damage on top of damage on top of damage while having immunity to a lot of things, while also having a self heal, while also having a buff increase from when you get hit. It's just like I don't know, bro. They just made this character extremely powerful. It's just like it's absurd. This Sukuna does too much damage from too many different sources. Like Gojo, once you ult with him, like the damage from everything else is like whatever. But not this character. The damage from this character in his ult, in his other skills, they're just all extremely high. Well, for skill 3, right? This skill 2 is like kind of like whatever damage, but you definitely can increase the amount of damage you're gonna do with your skill 3 because of skill 2. On top of that, his cursed energy problems, they're non-existent, and yeah, it's just crazy all the stuff that he buffs himself with. I like this character is absurd, but yeah, as you saw, he did roughly like, we'll just kind of estimate it and just say he did 20 million plus, right? Obviously, we knew he did like 23 million if we deducted the how much Inumaki did. But yeah, powerful unit indeed, the strongest DPS character out there, not even a debate. But yeah, anyways, I appreciate you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.